Okay, welcome back. Thanks for coming back to episode 2 of Road to a 700-pound deadlift. I'm gonna go over this last week of training, even though it was kind of a weird one. With the holiday. I hope everyone had a good holiday, by the way. With the holiday, gyms aren't open as long as they normally do, so I kind of had to condense my training a little bit. So I have, a couple days that are a little bit rushed, and I did a lot on those days. But also, this was a weird week of training because the work has been a little bit more stressful lately. I'm writing my dissertation proposal right now, and that's not fun. It takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of focus, and in the past, I've had volume cycles that were really affected by the time I spent at work. And it's also been a weird week. Just personal life has been a lot of crazy stuff going on. The stress can kind of definitely seep into my gym performance. So kind of a weird week, this one, but let's get into it. Still a pretty solid week of training. I definitely have some thoughts. When I reflected on it, looking back at the videos, I definitely had some thoughts I think I need to improve on, and some things I actually think I did pretty well this week. So let's get into it. Yeah, so the first one is bench. I feel like my bench is, I don't know what it is, but I feel really solid with my bench these past couple of weeks. I think my bench really responds well to volume, like RPE 8 style volume cycles. I did for my push day, I did 4 sets of 305 for 5 reps. It felt easy. Like, it was I think the first set was probably like RPE 7.5. The rest kind of dangled around, or like danced around RPE 8. And I didn't record all my sets because there's people on other side of me and I got a little camera shy. But yeah, I mean, bench is looking really smooth, really easy this week. I think a problem I've had in the past is my bar path. But I think doing those tempo benches really has helped me get my bar path down and my starting position down well. The thing I think I need to work on now, as you can see in these videos, I'm trying to learn how to do the self lift off, rather than always relying on someone giving me a lift off just in case. So I think under 315 pounds, I'm gonna start doing self lift off. Anything above 315, I'll probably still ask someone for a lift off. I've heard, really experienced powerlifters say that doing the self lift off is better for you long term because you get a more consistent starting position. So I'll whatever it takes to get, maybe a little bit better at the movement, I'll do it. The thing I'm learning, or the thing I'm noticing right now when I unrack the weight is I'm in a good starting position when like my butt is up and ready to unrack the weight, but like when I unrack it, I kind of lose that tension and lose that curve in my back a little bit when I unrack it. So I have to make sure when I'm unracking it next time, like I keep that tight start position. I don't lose any tightness in my core and my back after I unrack it. But the 305 for 4 sets of 5 felt super easy. RPE 8 at most, felt super strong. And my bench is really progressing well. I feel like after these next 2 cycles, I think a PR, maybe like a 5-pound PR or something like that, do like 385 would be cool. And I'm hoping, by the end of next year to get like a nice 400-poundish deadlift would be cool. 400-poundish bench would be really cool. 400-pound deadlift is that happened a while ago. Okay, squats. So last week I had a lot to say about squats. I still kind of do, to be honest. Squats are kind of, oh, by the way, I hope you guys appreciate the new camera angle. So it takes up most of the screen rather than vertical recording. Trying to make it look better for you guys. But yeah, so this is my first squat session, full squat session, using the weightlifting shoes. So the shoes with the heel on them. Just, if you guys didn't see last week or my meet recap video, I had an injury in my hip a couple months back, and I'm also a pretty narrow stance dominant squatter. I feel like I say that like 10 times every video, But weightlifting shoes, since they give that angle, it changes the moment arm a little bit of the movement. So you're taking less pressure on your hips and more pressure on your quads. It helps you keep your knees forward and your torso upright. And in this volume cycle, me and my coach are really trying to get better at me keeping my chest upright, keeping my knees forward, and keeping the movement mostly on my quads rather than putting any extra strain on my hip. And so I invested in a pair of weightlifting shoes, and I think they feel great. I think they feel awesome. The balance is a little weird. It's a little, I have to get used to it a little bit. Feel like I have to sit a little bit more on my heels rather than kind of my midfoot. But that's just kind of a cue. I'm obviously still on my midfoot, but the cue is to kind of stand up a little bit more on your heels with these. But the first set of 355 for 7, to be honest, I think these look really pretty, these squats. The only problem is I kind of lose a little bit of tightness in the bottom for a couple of these. One, because I'm going a little too ass to grass on these, and two, just the cardio. I get tired, and when you're breathing heavier, it's harder to keep that core tight for longer, you know. But I think these look really pretty. I really think these look nice. Like my chest is up the whole time. My torso is kind of straight. It just looks really nice. I feel like if this is what it looked like when I squatted 500 pounds, I'd be super, I'd be super happy with that. 405 for 6, was my next set. It was, this felt awesome. Like this felt really good. I felt super strong. And this was like the first amount of somewhat significant weight using my weightlifting shoes. And I feel pretty happy with these. I kind of had to readjust the bar position after that first rep. But it's, it looks good. I think the only thing I would like to work on with these is kind of finding a consistent bottom position. Because I'm still trying to learn how far to go down in my squat. My bottom position is kind of all over the place. Sometimes I go super low. Sometimes I'm doing like perfectly, knee joint over the hip crease, and so it's not super consistent, but I think that'll come with time. The more I do this, the more, the more I squat in these weightlifting shoes, the more I think about my depth. I think it'll come more naturally. But I am happy with my chest position in these. It's up the whole time. I don't really lean forward. My hip isn't really super involved. There's 1 or 2 reps where I lose a little bit of tightness, but that's okay. It can't be 100% perfect. I'm just glad with the progress so far. And then I did a set of 455 for 3. 455, I love this weight. I think this is like one of the most aesthetic looking plate setups you can get. It's 445s and a 25 on the side. I just think it looks really nice. But I hit this for a 3. The first 2 reps, I'm super happy with these first 2 reps. Look how upright my chest is. Like I don't really lean forward at all. This third rep though is, I lean forward a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. Those first 2 reps I really thought were nice. The only thing I would change about them is I would like to stay a little bit tighter in the bottom. I kind of just lose a tiny bit of tightness when I'm on the bottom of these reps. But I'm happy with my chest position. I'm happy with, my speed out of the hole. And I probably would have rated this in RPE 8.5. It was pretty good. Felt pretty good. Something I noticed about these is that my knees are closer together. So my stance is even a little bit more narrow than normal. I didn't do that on purpose. It's just kind of how it happened. But they moved really nicely. They moved really quickly, which is, I'm all about. Super happy about these. Another thing I've been thinking about looking back at these are kind of my descent. How fast should I be descending? Because before I used to kind of dive bomb it, really just slam into the hole, use that stretch reflex and jump out of the hole. Now I want to be a little bit more controlled. I want it to be a little bit more consistent. But I do think I can go a little bit faster. I do think I can get into the hole a little bit faster than what I'm doing here. As long as I keep that tightness. So on my back off, that's what I kind of focused on, staying tight throughout the whole movement, keeping my chest up and cutting my depth a little bit. And I think this is probably the best rep I did the whole workout. Maybe all week. This is probably the best rep I did. My chest is up the whole time. The depth is perfect. Speed out of the hole is quick, and I kept my tightness the whole time. So I'm very happy with that. I really like these back off sets because it's like, okay, I looked at my last set. What can I improve on? I have one rep to kind of perfect the movement, think about everything I need to improve on from these last couple steps and apply it. And it really helps me like kind of apply what I've been thinking about, you know. So that 455 I'm super happy with. And again, I did another 3x8 with 405 for sumos. Oh my god, I cannot wait for this to be over. I cannot wait to not have to do this anymore. I think this next week I'm doing heavier weight for like sets of 5, I think. I'll have to look at the spreadsheet, but it should be way easier than sets of 8 cuz like I said, this is like not like weight demanding, like it's not like really nervously like taxing on my nervous system because of weight, but it's so much cardio. I'm breathing insanely heavy, and I've been doing cardio like 4 times a week. I've been doing like 25-30 minutes of cardio like 4 times a week, and this is still really brutal. So if I wasn't doing that cardio, it would probably be even worse. But Adib, please stop programming these sets of 8. I don't care if they help anymore. I don't want to do them anymore. But, you know, if you program them, I'll do them. Okay. So that was my lower day. Pretty happy with it, honestly. I'm like, with these weightlifting shoes for the first session with these weightlifting shoes, I'm super happy with how it went. Like, I can really feel the tension in my quads rather than my hip. My torso is staying upright. I do think I have to master the movement a little bit more. I think there's a lot more I have to learn with my squat, and I think mostly what that is kind of staying tight throughout the movement and learning to find a consistent depth. But you know, we'll take it one step at a time. Right now, I think I need to focus a little bit more on staying tight throughout the movement, and then I can kind of focus on my depth later. Just because I have a tendency to, you know, squat way too low. So, you know, getting better with time, practicing, getting better every day. I think we'll be okay for the future. And then, so this is actually my last. I usually do like a bodybuilding day in between. You know, my strength days. But I should have probably skipped the bodybuilding day this week because I had less time in the gym. So I had to condense my deadlift and my close grip bench day into one day, and that was brutal. That was like a 4 hour day in the gym. I love spending like multiple hours on Saturday, like waking up early and just spending most of my Saturday in the gym. That is something I look forward to every week. But this was a little ridiculous. Even for me, this was like, okay, I'm in here way too long. But we decided for my front squats to stay at the same amount of weight we did last week, so 285 for 4x4, just to get the form a little bit more ingrained, like the motor pattern a little bit more ingrained, and to practice my front rack a little bit. But these moved a lot better than they did last week. I think I was able to keep my form a little bit more consistent, keep my chest up, keep my weight a little bit on my midfoot, like leaning towards my heels. But I'm excited to get these front squats going. I think it's really cool to have a really big front squat. You know, reminds me of like Klokov or something when he did like his 500-pound paused front squat. It's so sick. Even though this is like half that weight. But I think next week we're doing 305 pounds, and then I think I'm doing non-paused 315 for a set of 2. I'm excited to do that. But I really like these front squats because I can kind of practice going all the way ass to grass, keeping that tightness the whole time, and I really feel it in my quads. It's really cool to feel like almost all quad engagement. And also, these are like the primary reason we're doing this is to learn how to keep my chest up. So that's definitely helping with that too. But really enjoying the paused front squats. They're fun. They're a new challenge, and I'm enjoying learning them so far. Yeah, I can't wait till I can just do like 3 plates on the front squat, like it's like a paused front squat, like it's no big deal, because This 285 is pretty, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty difficult. A little bit more difficult than I was anticipating. I know it's paused and stuff, but still. But I'm happy with these. I'm happy with how they moved, happy with my front rack. I don't have like amazing mobility, so this front rack I'm super happy with. And excited to build this front squat up in the future, keep my chest up, learn how to have a strong back throughout the whole movement. I think this will probably be the most beneficial to my squat form out of everything we're doing right now. And these weightlifting shoes are awesome. I'm loving them so far. I think that after this cycle is up, I think I probably will stick to the weightlifting shoes rather than the flats. I'll just use the flats for deadlifts. Speaking of deadlifts, so I was programmed to do 485 for a set of 5 paused, but I was loading the plates and I was feeling strong, and more importantly, I was feeling lazy, so I didn't want to find a 35 and a 5, so I just slapped another 45 on the end, and I was like, whatever, I'll do 5 plates for paused deadlifts. The first set, this first set is kind of ugly. This bar that I'm using, I think it's 29 millimeters. So it's about the size of a powerlifting bar, but the knurling isn't amazing on it. So the first set I did without straps, but just like, you can tell that my grip is starting to go a little bit, which is not amazing. I should probably work on that a bit. And the extension at the top is getting a little bit sloppy. Paused deadlifts aren't just useful for building that patience off the floor, which is definitely a weakness in my deadlift, but they're difficult because like the extension at the top, the extension of your hips at the top is more difficult because of that initial fatigue from the pull off the floor. So, and you can definitely see that in these last 2 reps, especially the second to last rep. I'm kind of like extending, and then I kind of like barely extend it and drop it pretty quick. So something I definitely need to work on is that hip extension at the top. But when I put on straps for my next set, it was a much better looking set. When I wasn't focused on keeping my grip the whole time too. I'm pretty happy with this one. The 5 reps I did look good. Maybe should work on pausing a little bit more, but this one was more like an RPE 9. The last one was like an RPE 10. This one was like an RPE 9. So I'm happy with this. Like five plates for a set of 5 on the pause deadlift. Like that's pretty. Like I'm very happy with that. That's a lot of weight. So for a set of 5, it's pretty nice. I think this 495 for a set of 5 is my PB for pause deadlifts. But I'm excited to see how far I can push this, and I'm excited to see how this is going to help my deadlift in the long run, And then I did 3 singles of 535 of regular deadlifts afterwards. I didn't use strap for these. I still want to train my grip pretty intensely. It's still important to have a good, strong grip. Grip has never been an issue for me for a heavy single, but just better safe than sorry. So 3 singles of 535, they all moved really easy. For some reason, my capacity for heavy singles seems to be a lot better than my capacity for volume. I really don't like doing volume, but 3 singles of 535 felt good, felt strong. My deadlift is feeling super strong lately. My deadlift and my bench are both feeling really strong. I think that some PRs are ahead after like a cycle or 2. But I'm really happy with how my deadlifts are moving. And I think that these pause deadlifts are a big reason, learning to pull that slack out of the bar, I think was a big weakness I had before. And now I think starting to hammer it in, starting to get a lot better. And, I'm thinking maybe at the end of this next cycle, like looking at something like a 635, a 640 deadlift, which is, which would be awesome. A 640 deadlift would be crazy. I think that's what Adib is programming these numbers off of too, so we'll see. And then lastly, the last thing I did was on the same day, but I did the tempo close grip touch and go bench press just to get some tricep overload and getting a little bit better with my start position. I did 285 for a 4x5, which is hilarious because that was like what I did with or is it a 4x4? Let's see. Let's count the reps. 3, 4. Okay, so it's a 4x4. which is hilarious because that's what my paused front squats was 285 for a 4x4. So my close grip bench is about as strong as my paused front squats right now, which will change with time. But yeah, these felt great. These moved really well. The tempo I think is awesome. It helps me find my start position and build that tension going down, and like focus on that eccentric a bit. I can definitely feel my triceps and my kind of like my front delts really being taxed with this, which is good, which is what I want, you know. And with these also, I was working on my start position or my self unrack, you know. And I think it looks good. It looks a little bit better than last week, especially the second set. Or is it my third set? Let's see. Yeah, my third set I did a little bit better with my unrack. Did a little bit better keeping that tension and keeping that curve of my back after unracking it, that I tend to lose when I'm self unracking. But you know, with more practice it'll get better, keeping that tension up, and you know, soon hopefully I'll be able to unrack PRs by myself, but if not, no big deal. It's just something I'm practicing just in case. Just in case they make some weird ass rule like, oh, no more self unracks or anything like that. You never know. That bench is in a good place right now. I've been feeling really strong with my bench. It's been a while since I felt like with my bench that it's like I have a really hard challenge, you know, coming up. Usually like heavy sets of 3 are tough for me on the bench, but right now I feel ready for them. Like right now I feel like if you give me a heavy set of 3 or 5, I'd be able to blow through it. So hopefully that's what we're going to get next week, and that's what we're going to see. But yeah, I mean, super weird week of training because of all the condensed work at the end, like being in the gym for like 4 hours on Saturday. But I feel good. Like usually at this point in a volume cycle, I start to feel really taxed. I start to feel really fatigued. But right now I feel good. This is a tough volume cycle too. It's not an easy one, and I feel good right now still. You know, which is interesting because I think the last volume cycle I had was it was a lot tougher. And the reason I think is I was going through a lot with work. Like I was working 60-hour weeks for like 2 months straight. And on top of that, I was doing a volume cycle, and it made me feel really stretched thin. And I had no idea how much, you know, having outside factors really affected my factors inside the gym, you know, my performance inside the gym rather. Because usually I feel like I can separate them pretty easily, and kind of like going to the gym is like a nice little escape from real life, you know. But they definitely creep in, like they definitely like influence each other quite a bit, and having a difficult week at work is actually way more taxing than I expected. And I feel, you know, I still have a lot of work going on now, but I feel like it's not as taxing as I had before, and my performance in the gym is kind of showing. I've been really able to focus on what I need to improve on, you know, set by set. Like think about like, oh, what did I do wrong last set? What did I think about over the week when I was training, and how can I apply this to the next set? And I think that best manifested in my squats this week with that 455 for 1 looking so nice, you know. And even with my pause deadlifts, with that second set of pause deadlifts, I'm like, okay, remember to extend your hip all the way at the top. So, and I also think that these videos are actually really beneficial to my training. I think that like before these last couple workouts, I kind of went back. I was like, what did I think about the last set of squats I did like last week? I went and watched the video. I was like, okay, I need to work on my bottom position and keeping my chest up and keeping my knees forward. And that was kind of like in my mind before I started this workout. And I think it was really beneficial, honestly. It came out like, it's not usual that like I do like a heavier set of squats and like I'm happy with most of the reps, you know. That doesn't happen often, but because I kind of had that in my brain beforehand, like what I need to improve on, I think it helped a lot. So I'm gonna keep doing these, whether or not anyone watches. I'm gonna keep doing them because it's really helping. I mean, I think it's really helping, and I think that I think that this is a good, surefire way to hit some PRs in the future. It helps me stay focused. It helps me think about what I need to improve on and what I can work on, and I'm gonna keep doing them. So yeah, so thanks for watching week 2, a little bit of a quicker one, this one, and I'm hoping next week is a little bit more of a normal week, less condensed workouts, less holidays, and excited to get a little bit better through this next week, and incrementally, piece by piece, and then eventually hit the 700-pound deadlift. So yeah, so thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to type a comment. If you have any thoughts about my training, what you think you've noticed, or what you think maybe I need to improve on, let me know. I'm very interested to hear. But thanks, and I'll see you guys next week.